It's really cold in Kampala. I don't know how cold it is in your area, but it's good that you are still with us and we enjoy your company this morning. We are Good Morning Uganda, and we are now off to our newsreel in a discussion where we're going to be talking about the HIV/AIDS patients and the low uptake of ARVs in the Acholi sub-region. Because a report by the health workers in the Acholi sub-region has revealed that they are concerned about the rising incidence of non-adherence to life-saving antiretrovirals, or the ARVs, medication among people living with HIV/AIDS. Now, the Gulu area manager for the AIDS support organization said that they lost connection of some of the patients who are supposed to be reporting to pick the ARVs. Now, the question is, why are we in such a state as a country, and what really needs to be done in this kind of situation where the uptake is low or is increasingly low, and at the same time when we all know that the infection rates are still on a high in the country. But nonetheless, the country has a campaign that is scheduled to put an end to HIV spread by 2030. The question is, if we continue having these cases of low adherence to the ARVs, the question will be, can we be able to sustain, or can we be able to achieve that goal of putting an end to the spread by 2030? But of course, one may still argue that the uptake does not, or taking ARVs does not increase the spread of HIV. But again, it does help support those who are suffering or who have HIV/AIDS. Good morning. You will be part of our conversation as well as our viewer. But now I'll head to the team in Studio B with whom I'll be having a conversation this morning, rotating around this scary report. I want to believe it's a scary report because from the side of Uganda's health sector, you would wish any patient suffering from any sort of disease to be taking their medication respectfully and with a lot of discipline, because then you will know that you're curing or you're preventing something at the end of it. Good morning, team. Let me head direct to you. When you look at some of this kind of report, when you look at this report of low uptake, more so in the Acholi sub-region, one would wonder what is causing this. What are some of the things that were highlighted as a cause of the low uptake of these ARVs?
Well, when you look at when you look at the report and some of the reasons that are being put forward, most of them seem to be beyond the individuals that are faced with this challenge. One, they will tell you that the distance that someone has to cover to be able to access this medicine is quite long, especially in the remote areas. Then also they will tell you that some don't even have the money to travel that distance for them to be able to get to the facilities. Also, some of the facilities in especially the remote areas are not situated closer. So you find that someone has to travel, for example, from let me give an example. Someone has to travel from Kochi and they have to go to Masaka to be able to get the medicine. And when you look at the transportation and all that, that person is not going to spend anything that is below 80,000 when they're traveling from those remote areas. So do you think all the individuals in those areas have access to that kind of money? Probably not. Then talk about stigma. That also makes people fail to go to get the medicine. Talk about non-supportive caregivers. Those ones, they're the ones, of course, that will stigmatize you. They're the ones that will segregate you at a certain point. So all those are some of the reasons that are being cited as to why the uptake is not as good as we should be seeing it. Then also sometimes people just feel shy to talk about their conditions especially if they're getting involved into a relationship. They will feel shy to talk about it because of things like stigmatization, because they're probably guilty, or they're not, they don't like the way they contracted the disease, and because also society has made it look like it is evil to be with such a disease, whether you got it voluntarily or involuntarily. So you find that those are some of the reasons that are being cited as to why these individuals are not going ahead to to get the medicine. But also away from this report, when you have conversations with people that, one, are caregivers, two, that that are suffering from HIV, they will tell you that sometimes it's high when they get to these centers. One, the line is too long, and they have to now do more than one trip to go to the facility. Then two, they'll also tell you at some point the medicine gets done, and it takes some time for them to be able to get it. So those are some of the reasons that are being cited, or that are known to be the cause for the low uptake.
And of course, adding to that, it is that in some cases, for instance, women living with HIV/AIDS, but when they don't know, or when they don't know, one, that they are living with HIV, or when they know, but then they get pregnant and misunderstand or mistake the symptoms of pregnancy as symptoms of ARVs. So they stop taking the drugs, thinking that the effects they are experiencing are effects of the drug, yet they are pregnant. They find out later that they are pregnant. But also the other point to take is that some people don't lack knowledge. And by lacking knowledge, what I mean here is that some people don't know that they have HIV, because there are many people. I'll give you an example. Many ladies say that their husbands test for HIV through them. For instance, if she gets pregnant and goes for antenatal and she is tested and found negative, then the husband takes it that he is also negative. Yet he could actually be they could be a discordant couple. He may be infected, but the wife is not. So it is important for people to be testing themselves. You cannot test through your partner. Your partner's negative result does not necessarily mean that you are also HIV negative. But also, still speaking about knowledge, some people do not know the effects of not being consistent with the drugs. Now, I understand they are usually cancelled when they go to take the drugs, but there is the matter of habit. You have to do something for consistently for over 90 days for it to become a habit. And sometimes some people don't do that. Also, Jerome, I would like for you to know that when it comes to HIV drug uptake, the people that are dropping out the most are the youth when it comes to uptake of ARTs. And in most cases, it's because of the stigma. They're afraid of what other people are going to say regarding them taking HIV drugs. And of course, others, they lack support from caregivers at home, to mention but a few.
And well, just so you know, our dear viewer, is that we do not have a cure yet for HIV/AIDS, and what we currently have are ARVs, where many of the patients are always given once you are sick with it. But the prevention measures have always been put aside. That is being faithful to your partner, and obviously, abstaining for those who do not have a partner, and then also the element of using condoms, I should say. Now, last year, as of 30th November, Uganda recorded significant reduction in new HIV infections among newborns. That is according to a report that was released by the World Health Organization, which of course is a promising report. But sadly, on the other hand, there was also a report that was released as of 1st December 2023, which is globally a day of, that is International AIDS Day. The Daily Monitor released a report which showed that there was a huge concern in Uganda as at least 70 young people contract HIV/AIDS daily in Uganda. So that clearly shows you that the spread is really rapid, and at the time when the uptake of where we are receiving low uptake of the ARVs, then you've got to worry as a country. Now, there's also another concern in regards to some of the reports coming in from the Acholi sub-region that reveal that all the regions do not have, or most of the villages do not have health centers, which becomes very difficult for some of the patients. The HIV patients also feel they are tired of taking the drugs.
Truth be told, taking the drugs is not a walk in the park. Imagine you have to take these drugs for the rest of your life. And in as much as you know you're saving your life, it gets to a point when it becomes tiring, honestly. And maybe they wouldn't get tired of taking the drugs because they know this is what is going to keep them healthy. But we'll also have to look at the point of food insecurity. You see, these drugs are very strong and they shouldn't be taken on an empty stomach. And someone has to feed really well before they take the drugs. But in some regions, you're going to find that people are having issues with food. There is food insecurity. I'll give you an example. During the pandemic, there are many patients that are on ARVs that stopped taking the drugs because they didn't have food. And because of this, there are adverse effects, of course, later on. When you go off the medication, it's going to affect your CD4 numbers and many effects. Your viral load, yes. So because of that, you will find that, yes, maybe someone doesn't really mind taking the drugs, but they don't have the food. And like some of the examples Chantal gave earlier, maybe they can't access the health centers. Because I think if you know for sure that this drug is going to help you stay longer, eventually your mind will move into the direction of acceptance, accepting that I have to take these drugs to be okay, and the negativity that comes with taking drugs every day will go away. But there are other factors surrounding the low uptake.
Talk about even the side effects of this medicine to some individuals. It doesn't happen to everyone, but to some individuals. Someone will tell you they get weak when they take the medicine. Some will tell you their skin reacts to the medicine. Some will tell you they lose appetite. So a lot of things happen to these patients. Someone will tell you I lose weight. Someone will tell you I add too much weight. A number of things, and some of those side effects are probably some of the things that are not prepared for. You see, when you go to a health facility or a laboratory and you've gone to do an HIV test, whether you're negative or positive, they'll have a session with you if they really care that much. They'll have a session with you, or they're supposed to have a session with you. Now, in that session, they're preparing you for the results, but they're not preparing you for the effects, in case you're positive, for the effects of the medicine you're going to take. And this is something that cuts across. Usually when you're being put on medication, they will not tell you, or they will rarely tell you the side effects of the medicine. So the same goes for these ARVs. Remember, different individuals, different bodies react differently to the content in this medicine. So someone is not aware of the side effects. One, they're frustrated by the fact that they are sick of a lifelong disease that they're going to have to carry to their grave. And now they have also to worry about carrying medicine everywhere they go. And this is how the person's mind is operating. They have to worry about carrying the medicine every single day, everywhere they go. Even in the company of people they feel they're uncomfortable if they found out that they were sick. And now this person gets the side effects of this medicine. Imagine what is happening in this person's mind.
But the beauty is that we now have more HIV treatment methods, and Uganda rolled out the injectable, the HIV treatment injectable. So it is bi-monthly, it is monthly, I beg your pardon, and those people that have a low viral load can now take the HIV injectable every other month. And this helps those that feel tired with taking the pills every single day. And also, Joram, there is still good news, because 60% of new infections all across the world, but even in Uganda, many of the new infections that are reported are among women, especially young women between the ages of 15 to about 35, 40. So there is a hope, because now we also, they are introducing the vaginal ring, which is also, actually the vaginal ring will be used as, it will be used as a prevention method, because all the other prevention methods that we have on the market, like condoms, leave women at the mercy of men. What it means is that if a man says he cannot wear a condom, then the woman's life is at risk. But if she has something that can protect her, then probably she's taking her health into her own hands. And medics are hopeful that this will help to reduce the number of infection, or the rate of infection among women.
Now, I wanted us to first throw back to this report revealing that 70 young people receive, or rather get infected by HIV on a daily. Let's first of all look at the issue that is leading us to that level of having these numbers on a daily in regards to the spread of HIV, because now it is a worrying state. By 2030, we want to kick out the spread completely. But if we continue having these numbers, then the chances are even the low uptake of ARVs will continue. When you look at some of the causes behind the rapid increase amongst the young people, what are some of those that you can easily highlight?
To begin with, it's the one thing that we talk about pretty much regarding every other issue that is affecting our society today, and it will be the poverty levels. When you see the infection rates reported in some areas, like last year it was reported that there was a high degree of infection in Barara, and it was reported that most of the ladies that were infected were actually, the report said the infection was between younger women and older men. And what this, when they went deeper, they found that many of these ladies were coming from rather rather like their backgrounds were characterized by high levels of poverty. So girls are going to these older men for favors as small as getting 3,000 shillings to buy sanitary towels. But in getting those, they're now exposing themselves to a lifelong ailment, which could be an infection of HIV that will now later on turn into AIDS if it is not handled early. By the way, many people think that when you're infected, you get AIDS right away, but actually AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. What this means is that if you're not treating, if you're not on drugs, it might now turn into AIDS. But if you get onto drugs early, if you find out you're infected early and you start treatment, your HIV may never turn into AIDS.
All right. And now back to you, our dear viewer, off to our poll question of the day. What are your thoughts on the relatively low number of people taking antiretroviral therapy or ARVs in Uganda? So you can share with us on what you think has led to a low number of people taking these ARVs and what you think should be done. I will be going through your comments and your views here as we are summing up with our conversation. Now back to the team. As we are looking into this issue, what needs to be done? In order to have these people getting back to the hospitals, taking their ARVs on time, and having that discipline to monitor, their uptake of ARVs.
Sonko, just before we actually even talk about what should be done, I would like to draw your attention to a report which says that 25% of new cases in the past year were people between 15 to 35 years of age. And among the reasons why these people are getting infected, like I said earlier, they said they added poverty, ignorance, ignorance and social cultural norms being responsible for the spread of HIV. And here, social cultural norms, we might consider things like FGM, that is female genital mutilation. And of course, we have also cultures where they do circumcision, but in sometimes in a not very healthy way. And these are some of the things that lead to infection in some areas. Now, regarding what should be done, I will start before I hand over to Chantal with sensitization. Sensitization is the reason why we decreased our infection rate from 18% to around 5.3 at the moment. So if we do sensitize people even more, then we can actually kick out HIV infection by 2030, because that is the goal. But now it starts with you and it starts with me. When you talk about, when you have a conversation regarding HIV, you'll find that most people, especially the youth, are oblivious to the effects. Maybe people that were around in the 90s are afraid because they saw the effects of HIV infection, they saw the effects of AIDS, they saw people dying, dropping dead every other day. But today, with social media, with high levels of promiscuity, people are living their lives like HIV doesn't exist. And of course, like the Uganda AIDS Commission says, they say that us having drugs has been a good thing, but also has also affected how people see HIV. You've had women saying, I can get pregnant, I can get pregnant and get rid of it, and if I get HIV, I can get on like drugs, like let's say pre-exposure, rather post-exposure prophylaxis, but they don't even consider the effects of post-exposure prophylaxis. So there is need for information, there is need for sensitization and education. But Chantal will add to that.
Well, Sonko, when we talk about what can be done, let's first of all look at the areas that have the highest HIV in Uganda. You're going to be looking at Wakiso, you're going to be looking at Kampala, Lira, Mukono, Buikwe, Kabarole, Chenjojo, Mbarara, Gulu, Luwero, Mubende, Masaka, and more. There is Jinja, there is Mbale, there is Chotera. Those were recording the highest, we're registering the highest number of infections, that is as of last year. Now, when you look at some of those areas, maybe that's where we need to start from. In Kampala, what is causing people? What is causing the high numbers? In Mbarara, what is causing the high numbers? Because I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think, for example, the remote areas, let's say, if we're talking about Lira, we're talking about Gulu. For example, the report in the Daily Monitor says Gulu, people are citing the fact that they have to move longer distances to be able to get to the health centers that have the ARVs. And now someone tells you, I do not have transport to move to those health centers. So how about we draw the health centers closer to some of these remote areas for us to be able to provide these medicine, or at least let's have maybe drives maybe a month or something and have medicine distributed closer to the people. Then the centers can stay where they are if we're not in position to have facilities. That could be an option to explore. Then when you look at, in comparison now, to areas where you would think that people are more exposed, like Kampala, for example, you'll find that in my own opinion, one of the biggest causes is just people being reckless with their lives. Someone thinking, we have a problem. We tend to test people with our eyes. This girl is in Kampala. She looks brown from her face to her toes. The skin is evenly toned, but this girl has been on medication. You will not know. She feeds well. She has a skincare routine, and this man will look at her and will not even imagine that she could be having she could be having HIV and AIDS. And now, because of that kind of recklessness, we end up finding ourselves involved with people that are sick, and before we know it, the others are also getting infected. Going back to areas that are remote, talk about poverty, where this girl needs money either to go to school or to buy pads, or she needs to buy something maybe for school, and the only available option is an older man who most probably is sick, and these girls not even have the guts to ask, can we get an HIV test done? They don't even know how to say, if we are not using a condom, I'm not going to get involved with you.
They don't have that confidence.
They don't have that confidence because they are more desperate for the money. They are not even considering the consequences of their actions. So when we are doing sensitizations, we need to go deep down and make these girls or these individuals understand that, listen, much as you want to get that the 5,000, the 10,000 from this individual, you're going to be on a lifelong process of taking medicine for the rest of your life, and that is worse than not having 2,000 Uganda shillings, 5,000 Uganda shillings in your pocket. These people do not even know the effects of these things. Also, I believe it needs to be preached over and over again. Just because a mango looks good on top, it doesn't mean that inside there is nothing wrong with it. So we need to stop checking people with our eyes and make sure that we have the confidence. If you're getting involved in a relationship with someone, for example, the girls that go to bars and they're carried home, they don't know who has carried them home. They wake up in random places. I don't know if you've heard of stories. I've heard of these stories. These taxi drivers, the cab drivers actually, cab drivers that bring these girls from bars in the morning, the Uber drivers in the morning. Are you aware that these boys or these men actually sometimes sleep with these girls because the girls are so drunk? They don't even know where they are going. So this man parks on the roadside. It's 3 in the morning and no one is going to bother. We are very unbothered, and now he sleeps with her. She does not know what is happening, and in the morning she wakes up, she doesn't know where to start from.
Well,
now she can't even pin which kind of driver it was, which car it was, what plate it was. So we need to stop being reckless with our lives.
But also on the uptake part of it, Joram, we need to address stigma, because it's been one of the reasons, like different reports identify stigma as part of the reason why, the main reason why people are not compliant to taking their drugs. And because of stigma, this is why people are hiding from family members that they're HIV positive. And yet, if you reveal your status to the people around you, they are going to give you the support you need, and maybe you will not forget, because forgetfulness to take medicine is the other reason why we have low uptake. And lastly, of course, as we round up, there is also need for families to be really to embrace people that are sick and not treat them like they're different. And when it comes to nearness of health centers where people get medicine, by the way, it's not just the remote areas. I know someone who lives in Chira, but they have to go to Mulago to pick the medicine. And sometimes they don't have the transport.
And well, the region in question here, that is the Acholi sub-region, stands at 7.4% of higher than 5.3% in the national prevalence of HIV. Now, new cases, however, reduced by 72% from 11,758 in 2017 to about 3,175 in 2021. However, there is a worry by the medics within the region because of the low uptake of ARVs. Now, our duty here is to continue seeking for the collaborative efforts by communities, health centers, as well as the government, to ensure that those suffering from HIV/AIDS can be able to take their ARVs on time, and of course to also receive their medication as soon as possible. That has been our discussion for our newsreel, and thank you very much for being part of it. After the break, when we do return, we have the Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express with Alan Namisango. Later on, the GMU Business Update and the Traffic Update summing up this hour before we head into our agenda. So keep it locked here on Good Morning Uganda, as more is yet to come. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
PDM, changing lives.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Uganda is really called the Pearl of Africa for a reason. And some of these things you get to know and appreciate the beauty that there is in the country when you explore. Ngamba Island is one of those places that will surely make you believe that Uganda is the Pearl of Africa. I am Irene Alenamisang, and this is the GM Tourism Express at UBC, where we take you around the Pearl of Africa, exploring different places. Now here we are exploring the chimps at Ngamba Island Chimpanzee Sanctuary. These chimps, it is funny or amazing to see that they have hierarchies. Just like we have the social classes, these chimps have hierarchies. They have a leader, like a president or the leader of the community, and the community at Ngamba Island is led by Chisembo. But the story how he got the leadership, there are also maybe like the likes of Mawa who now got depressed, or he isolated himself because he lost the campaigns, the votes. So you see that there is politics here. It is just amazing to see that these chimps are also like human beings and they also want leadership. Well, it is now feeding time. We are going to see how they feed, because when it is feeding time, it is also play time. Let's go do this. That is nice. Yeah. Let me see who. Now I think that one, who? Amos, the other one is in a higher class. Because when this one saw him getting the other one.
The alpha, yes.
Hey, Chisem, I saw this one when he was getting the tomato, he left it for him.
Yeah.
Why? Take it. Natasha, you know, Chisembo, bad manners. Let me give Natasha. Natasha? Now they are all busy. Everyone has something. Maybe him.
Yeah, my name is Amos Okelo. I work as a caregiver. I love chimpanzees. I've started working with chimpanzees in 2004, and it becomes part of my daily activities. We observe these chimpanzees, we understand something about their behaviors, we write stories about them. And here I want to talk about Kisembo, who is right there. Kisembo is the alpha male, you know. The alpha is the chief executive of the group. And to be the alpha, you must really play a lot of chimpanzee politics. So to come to the highest position in the chimpanzee leadership, you must make sure that you have so many supporters, okay? So Kisembo is born of 1999. And as we speak now, Kisembo is no longer a juvenile, but the alpha. And how did he get into position? Whenever there is a gap, whenever there is a weakness, we had a previous alpha male called Omutama. So by 2018, Omutama was the alpha male. Between 2018 to 2019, there was a little bit of a gap. So the group wanted to change the leadership. So Kisembo presented himself as a candidate, and he started mobilizing with the majority of the females. He started mobilizing support from the juveniles. So he got a majority of support, and that support was enough to make him launch an attack to Omutama, who was the alpha. And there was a fight for 1 week, there was a fight for 2 weeks, when the team of Kisembo would attack the team of Omutama, who was the alpha. And then, at the end of the day, towards the end of 2019, Omutama and his allies had completely been crushed by Kisembo and his new group. So between 2019 and 2020, Omutama had to make a decision, okay? Either to become a rebel or to go back and submit, okay? So having lost the alpha position through the fight, Omutama submitted to the new leadership, and by 2020, Kisembo had completely established himself as the alpha male. He is the alpha up to now. When you come here to know that one is an alpha, you're going to see how much food he has collected. You're going to see some of the privileges they have in terms of copulating with the females, or in terms of how they solve the group problems. So there are rules in the chimpanzee group, and then the alpha male is the judge. So whatever he does is assumed to be right. But there are lots of challenges. Just as he is now the alpha male, there are other upcoming males who also want to take over from Kisembo. So how does he establish himself into leadership?
So you see that Kisembo, the leader of this community, should make sure that he sustains his powers, or else another upcoming juvenile will be able to take up his powers. But how is he going to be able to maintain this leadership that he has? He has to be confident, he has to do different things, but it is exciting to dive into the politics of the chimps at Ngamba Island. And if you want to see chimps, there is no doubt that when you visit Ngamba Island, you must see the chimps. So just find time, get that day off, get a night off, come to Ngamba Island and explore the beautiful chimps that call this place a perfect haven. Thank you so much.
Good morning once again. Thank you for staying tuned. This is Good Morning Uganda. It's time for us to speak matters business. And this morning, let's see if you are having issues with your IFRIS, if you are a trader and you've been having those challenges. Today, I come with a report that says Uganda Revenue Authority has announced waiving of electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solutions penalties that was levied on traders for errors that were made. So maybe let's say that could be a good step into the right direction. And the deputy spokesperson URA, that is Robert Kalumba, says they are implementing the directive from President Museveni following his meeting with the traders in Kampala who had protested unfair penalties on the EFRIS. And well, do note that after 2 months, there's going to be another meeting between the traders and President Museveni. So hopefully after the 2 months, there'll be something new to discuss or some good progress to discuss. Now, it is good news for the traders across the country who had penalties for making errors with IFRIS, but also how many traders have been trained on how to use this system. But the good news is the tax collecting body has succumbed to pressure and accepted to waive off penalties starting Monday next week. And according to Robert Kalumba, they are implementing a directive from President Museveni, and this was after the meeting that took place in Kampala, in Kololo. Now, the tax body also says they have written to Parliament to amend the law where penalties coming out of IFRIS have been too high. That sounds a bit fair. So hopefully, by the time these 2 months are done, we are going to be having good conversations. It should also be noted that President Museveni, with traders at Kololo in Kampala, resolved that IFRIS will stay, but amendments will be made, including waiving off the penalties levied previously on the traders. And well, this is the step that we have been waiting for. Now, away from that, the former defense minister, that is Dr. Crispus Chiyonga, encourages coffee farmers in Kasese district, especially in Bukonzo County, West constituency, to embrace coffee production as one way of fighting poverty at household level. Now, this was during a during a launch of a new phase of coffee planting on lowlands and mountainous areas, and this is when he managed to give this speech. Farmers in Kasese district have been encouraged to stick to coffee production, and this is in a bid for them to be able to realize socio-economic transformation. The words of encouragement was sounded by the former defense minister Crispus Chiyonga during the launch of the phase of the coffee planting, and also says Chiyonga is also a farmer and has been sensitizing the population about coffee production, and says this can lead to the end of poverty if people really remain determined. Now, Chiyonga, who is also a chairperson NRM for Kasese district, said that if coffee production increases, the storage facilities and marketing strategies will be realized, and acknowledged that some coffee farmers were supplied with wrong coffee seedlings, and this has affected their coffee yields. The farmers who adopted this message on coffee planting said since they took over the advice, life has not remained the same, and still said that they have benefited from coffee. For example, they've been able to take their children to school, and this school fees is no longer a problem. And others noted that pests and diseases continue to hinder their coffee gardens, leading to low yields. And then Pascal Bitswamba, who has 7 acres of coffee trees, said in a year he earns about 20 million Uganda shillings from coffee plantation. Well, I guess it is high time that even if you're not in Kasese, you consider getting into coffee planting. Now, also moving on further into our business stories this morning, the government of Uganda is committed to establishing a robust and well-funded uranium exploration program to accelerate the discovery and development of uranium resources. Now, this was made in the conclusion of the International Atomic Energy Agency Integrated Uranium Production Cycle Review, a mission for Uganda, and government is establishing a regulatory infrastructure necessary for developing the nuclear sector and ensuring a sustainable energy future. International Atomic Energy Agency experts recommend the Uganda side to aim at enhancing the uranium exploration program and discovery of uranium deposits in our country, and this is an effort to speed up the uranium exploration. And then Uganda will have to finalize the amendment of the Atomic Energy Act 2008 and prepare to amend the regulations of a successful uranium production. And this there has been a call for innovative financing, such as climate financing, bilateral financing in the uranium exploration initiative, and definitely this is good news for the business world. Well, that's it for our business stories. We're going to be crossing over and checking how we were trading in terms of forex by closure of business yesterday. Please do note that at some point when we go to sleep, some of the markets also go to sleep. As you can see, the US dollar yesterday opened at 3,804 if you were buying, and you will be selling at 3,814. By close of business, it was buying at 3,805 and selling at 3,813. The Great Britain pound closed at 4,862 and selling at 4,875. The euro was at 4,741, while selling at 4,752. And then the Kenyan shilling was at 28.99 shillings while buying, and selling at 29.07 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling was at 1.46 buying and selling at 1.47, while the South African rand was at 210.50 cents and selling at 211. And as you can see, that is how we were trading by closure of business yesterday. Now, that marks the end of our business, of our Good Morning Business. Good Morning Uganda business updates this morning. Thank you for tuning in. Coming up is the traffic updates, and Olive Monica is already on standby.
Chilly morning it is this Wednesday morning. Good morning. Thank you for sticking with us. It is time for our traffic updates. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. Now we start from Chibuye, just around a roundabout. And from what I see here, it is that for those coming in from Entebbe Road side, like Najanankumbi, like the areas of Namasuba, it doesn't look good at all as you're approaching the roundabout in Chibuye. Actually, going a little back, I see that a big stretch in Najanankumbi indicates that there is intense traffic jam coming through from that side of town. And as we approach the roundabout in Chibuye, it doesn't get any better. Now, what you see there is the roundabout in Chibuye, and I want us to first give it a second to see how the roads surrounding it look like. Now, for those coming in from Masaka Road side, still approaching Chibuye, I see that there is a stretch of traffic jam that is going around that roundabout. And of course, other surrounding roads like Atwe Road, I see that there is still traffic jam going that side. Mobutu Road is also feeding some bit of traffic jam into the roundabout. The only road that has a green stretch is Queensway. Now moving, following the route through Katwe Road, let's see how that goes. Now, here we have sections that have traffic jam, but they're not really big sections. And continuing still with Katwe Road, I see that for the most part there is smooth flow of traffic coming in from that side. Mutebi Road has a bit of traffic jam feeding into Katwe Road. And as we go ahead where Queensway and Katwe Road come close to each other, I see that we have smooth flow of traffic in this neighborhood. Now this other roundabout, or where there is the flyover, I see that if you're breaking off to go to Nsambia side, you will experience a bit of traffic jam just at the flyover. But as you continue ahead with Nsambia Road, there is a smooth flow of traffic there. But I want us to continue with Entebbe Road and see how we can get into the city center. Now, Entebbe Road, just from the flyover, I see that we have a few sections that have yellow zones. Yellow zones usually mean that there is a bit of traffic in that area, traffic jam, but it is not intense. Now, Market Square Road is all red, indicating traffic jam in this section. Yes, that is Market Square Road, and it's feeding that traffic jam into Entebbe Road. And still continuing with Entebbe Road, or looking at the feeder roads into Entebbe Road, I see Nasa Road looking pretty green, indicating smooth flow of traffic. And the same applies to Nkrumah Road. But now we get to the intersection where Entebbe Road now transitions into Kampala Road. And what we see is that Kampala Road has sections of traffic jam, has sections of smooth flow of traffic, and sections of a traffic jam building up. The same applies to feeder roads like Barton Street as they feed into Kampala Road. Now, when I also take a peek at Buganda Road, I see that there is a stretch of traffic jam here at Buganda Road. Going back to Kampala Road, I see that yes, we still have the stretches of traffic jam, and of course the feeder roads as well have traffic jam therein. But going ahead with Kampala Road, now I see that we are starting to experience smooth flow of traffic, and for the most part all I see is smooth flow of traffic along the Kampala Road route. So if that's the route you're using, you are in luck. But as you know, in the morning every minute counts. You might take so much time to leave home or get onto the road, and before you know it, you're stuck in traffic. So if I were you, I would hit the road right now. Well, my name is Olive, and you're still watching Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Taking care of your bones is like giving your body a solid foundation for a healthy and active life. And now, let's dive into practical advice that you can easily weave into your daily routine, ensuring your bones stay strong and support you every step of the way. Number 1. Adequate calcium intake. Calcium is crucial for bone health. Include calcium-rich foods in your diet, such as dairy products, leafy green vegetables, tofu, and fortified foods. If needed, consider calcium supplements, but consult with your healthcare provider first. Number 2. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is necessary for the absorption of calcium. Spend time outdoors to get natural sunlight and include vitamin D-rich foods in your diet, such as fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified foods. If necessary, your healthcare provider may recommend vitamin D supplements. Number 3. Regular weight-bearing exercise. Engage in weight-bearing exercises like walking, jogging, dancing, or strength training. These activities help stimulate bone formation and maintain bone density. Number 4. Quit smoking. Smoking has been linked to lower bone density and an increased risk of fractures. Quitting smoking is beneficial for overall health, including bone health. Number 5. Limit alcohol consumption. Excessive alcohol consumption can negatively impact bone health. If you drink alcohol, do so in moderation. The recommended limit is 1 drink per day for women and 2 drinks or less per day for men. Number 6. Maintain a healthy body weight. Being underweight can contribute to bone loss, so it's important to maintain a healthy body weight. However, extreme dieting or excessive weight loss can also be detrimental to bone health, so aim for a balanced approach. Number 7. Bone density testing. Discuss with your healthcare provider if you should have a bone density test to assess your risk for osteoporosis. The results can help guide interventions to prevent bone loss. Number 8. Monitor medications. Some medications, such as certain steroids and certain anticonvulsants, can affect bone health. If you are on long-term medication, discuss potential effects on bone density with your healthcare provider. Number 9. Balance and fall prevention. Take steps to prevent falls, as fractures can significantly impact bone health. This includes maintaining a clutter-free home, using handrails, wearing appropriate footwear, and addressing any issues with balance. Number 10. Healthy diet. Ensure a well-balanced diet that includes an adequate intake of nutrients essential for bone health, such as magnesium, phosphorus, vitamin K, and vitamin C. Your bones support you every day. Now, it's time to give them the care they deserve. As you embark on this journey, know that a commitment to bone health is a gift to your future self, a promise of strength, resilience, and a life well lived. Thanks for joining us today. This program is produced by Sani Productions, powered by UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, Kingdoms of the Moon Rwenzori segment. Who are the people occupying the foothills of the fabled mountains of the moon? What strings them together?
One way of identifying ourselves would be the Rwenzori Mountain,
where the god happy dwells.
In Uganda, we are called Bakonjo, Bakonzo, Baira. In Congo, we are called Banande.
Ababuisa bakiro bingi, na abamba bakiro bingi.
The Basongora community is a very old community here, Western Uganda and Eastern Congo.
So both Kasese, Toro, were part of Nyoro Kitara Kingdom.
We are similar people.
We are one. Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering Saturday 25th May 2024 from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Ndere Center in Ntinda. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
PDM, changing lives.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda. The Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
This Pereno, as the name prescribes, is the project for restoration of livelihood in northern region. So it was designed to support the population in order to implement the national programs of wealth creation, improving household income, and this is done through supporting agriculture. And by supporting agriculture, you support seed production, training of farmers, mindset change, and even it went ahead to have components of food security grants, whereby families were given grants to be able to improve their food security. But there was also community-based natural resources grants, which were given to families to put in place woodlots, which would help them to reduce on killing the vegetation and deforestation, looking for energy or for firewood.
Fish Farmers Association.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning to you, and thank you very much for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda, our dear viewer, wherever you are catching us from. I am Jerome Paul Sonko, and we are off to our agenda this morning, and topic of conversation this time round is taking us to Kasese, because several major rivers in Kasese have burst their banks and flooded many areas, which has forced many of the residents within Kasese to call out to the government for aid and to support them with the ongoing crisis in Kasese. And as matters of fact, we are talking climate change world over as a global concern. But now here in Uganda, in Kasese to be more specific, there are devastating disasters and these floods and landslides that have hit Kasese this time around again. And it's something that we've been reporting at least once a year. Now, when you get to realize that it's also becoming a concern as of now, it is something that we really need to focus on and see what is really happening there. Now, we do have our correspondent from Kasese, Joel Kaguta, who does join us via phone call this morning to give us an update on what is happening there, what has been happening in the past weeks and then the past few days, and what is being done by some of the local government officials, and is there a plan by the government to ensure that they come to the rescue of the residents in Kasese. A very good morning, Joel. You're live on Good Morning Uganda.
Yes, good morning, Uganda, and good morning, UBC viewers. Like my colleague has said, my name is Joel Kaguta. I'm a local journalist based in Kasese town. And I also have a couple of other surrounding areas. But just really putting my emphasis on what is really happening currently in Kasese district. You know, for a couple of years, almost a decade, Kasese district has been actually known for being a place of disaster. If I can really take you way back in 2013, on 1st May 2013, it's when in my life as a Kasese born witnessed a huge disaster that claimed around 8 people in 2013. But the subsequent years, actually every May of every year since 2013, Kasese has been actually registering disasters. If they have not really claimed the lives of people, but a great huge has always been left. Now, 2 weeks ago, on 7th May, we were actually woke up in shock when we learned that 3 people had perished in a huge landslide. So as journalists, we rushed there and I personally covered the story. So when we were there, after just a few other days, we also had a number of landslides across the entire district. On that specific day, we lost around 9 people because others were buried by landslides and others were taken by rivers. So since 7th May this year, we've been actually living in anxiety of what can exactly happen. So yesterday at around 8 a.m. in the morning, I received a call that one of the major rivers in Kasese has again burst its banks. As a journalist, I rushed there, and this river is in Nyamwasana River, which actually streams from Mount Rwenzori, and of course it crosses through Kyalumba sub-county, then Kyalumba town council. I rushed there. The river had actually increased its water volumes. I covered the story and I looked at what it has actually caused, and a number of houses had been, taken over. So when I came at around 4 p.m., reaching in Kasese town, I also saw that Nyamwamba River had also increased its water volumes. Now, why these specific rivers, always when one of them is really flooding, then another one is also flooding? We have information that these major rivers, including Nyamwamba, Nyamwasana, Mubuko, then Lubiriha, they actually fetch from the same source. So when there is any hydrological problem up there in the mountain, all these rivers that stream from that area, downside this area, always flood. So I walked around, moved to Klembe. When I reached there, I saw a number of roads had been actually washed away. And as I speak now, no more business is taking over in the Klembe area, especially in the Bulembia division. But now the situation actually was worsened at around 11 p.m. Last night, when now the river actually strayed. Now it actually escaped from its original channel, and then it started straying into the community. So as I speak now, Mumbuzi area in Nyamwamba division, the whole place is now a problem. Actually, it has actually submerged. A couple of houses have also collapsed, and some few occupants whose houses fell on them have been rushed to nearby health centers. So I have tried to speak to a couple of people around. They are telling me they don't know what will happen next, because even if you look at the hills, you really see that the rain is still again promising to rain. So they don't know what will happen. Secondly, I've also spoken to the area member of parliament, Honorable Perigo Kampale. He's telling me that the challenge is now huge, because right now they have not really started as leaders to decide on what to do. But he tells me in a few minutes from now, they are going to have an emergency meeting to see how they are going to handle the situation. Because initially, these particular challenges have been happening in Kasese entirely. So the district leadership was the one that was trying to put up modalities of how to assist those who have been affected by the past, disasters.
Joel,
right.
A quick one. Just 2 weeks back, the Daily Monitor had reported that 8 people had died due to this flooding in Kasese. Do we have a figures of now that maybe the numbers have increased, or we are still standing on the 8 people who have lost their lives?
I think if I can really take you quickly, the number has increased, because in April we lost 3 people,
okay,
including a student, one of the secondary schools in Kafese. He was actually retiring from school, and when he reached a river, perhaps he wanted to give it a trial, and then he was actually taken, and I witnessed the burial. Then a few days after his incident, a woman was also struck by the lightning. Then another man also was also taken by another river. So from April to date, right now, Kasese has actually witnessed a number of 17 people who have lost their lives. Because if you put the one that actually happened recently, and you add up those who actually, the incidents that happened in May and those that happened in April, in just really 2 months, we have actually lost more than 15 people. So if Daily Monitor reported that the number of people has actually risen to 8, the number has actually, since April, the number has actually increased to more than 15 people who have lost their lives in similar incidents. Of course, they might not have been taken by the river, but others were buried by the landslides, and others died after falling after houses fell on them. So if you look at those figures, the number is actually exceeding more than 15. So if Daily Monitor reported that's where they got the genesis.
Okay, and then also let's look at the people in Kasese. With what is happening, the disaster that is happening, are they willing to leave their areas and go somewhere else that maybe the government will designate them to? Because when we do remember during the landslide issue in Bududa, there was a time where the residents around Bududa, around Mountain Elgon, did not want to leave their area to areas that the government had actually put for them. So when it comes to relocation, are the residents in Kasese willing to leave these areas next to the riverbank?
I think this question is overdue. A couple of people who are really living in prone areas have actually demanded the government to relocate them to safer places. Because remember when the office of the Prime Minister announced that people in disaster-prone areas in Bududa are going to be, relocated to safer zones. The demand was also actually raised by locals in Kafese who are actually living in disaster-prone areas. And of course, this also goes with the traditional way of people, how they think about shifting. But the continuous occurrences over these disasters have even actually made even those who had hearts of living their, what they could call their cradle lands, to leave. Because you see your colleague dying just mysteriously, then the next day you know that you might really be the one. So the demand is actually increasing. Because even right now, last in the morning at around 5, when I was really moving around to assess the situation, a couple of people were actually, had really got their mattresses and they were living along the road because they didn't really know what will happen in a few minutes. So to me, I believe if government can really get a simple solution of relocating these people, they can actually accept to relocate if they are really very aware that where they are going, they will be safe. Because even right now, the number of houses in Kasese town have started falling. So we don't know what will happen in either in an hour or 2 hours if the situation it does not really change.
Because I want you to also draw for us a picture with the government efforts that have so far been done. Because this is a very critical situation that has completely got out of hand. Now, I would wish to know, what are the efforts that the government has put in place, the local government as well, to ensure that they are working on this kind of disaster, our level of preparedness, I should say?
Yes, my brother, government has actually sunk huge sums of money in trying to avert this situation in Kasese. Because as I speak now, a number of contractors are working on Nyamwamba River to actually erect a number of gabions. And indeed, if you look at areas where gabions actually had been erected, you see that the damage is really minimal. So this is a clear manifestation that if they continue with the situation of putting up gabions, then that would really avert the situation. Secondly, government has again sunk a lot of huge sums of money in the same project, but even before their completion, they are being also destroyed. Because, for instance, there was an ongoing activity of reconstructing gabions by a power project that is being implemented in Kilembe. But my brother, this company has lost huge sums of money, because every time it rains, it takes up everything that they have been doing. So I think if there is a very combined effort by the local leaders and then at the national level to see if they can stretch the plan of having gabions from Kilembe through Nyamwamba Valley to Queen Elizabeth National Park. I think there we can have a period of about 10 or 20 years when we've not really witnessed such occurrences. But the moment that system is not there, we'll continue witnessing similar incidents happening. And of course, such incidents happening, the impact they leave behind is huge, very huge, because it also looks at the sanitation, it also looks at the livelihoods of people, it also looks at the resources that are being, are injected in reconstructing these structures, and of course they end up being swept by just a 1 hour rainfall.
And Joel, I also want us to look at what is really happening in Kasese, because we have viewers who have not really understood the impact this has had on Kasese as a district and the neighboring areas. If you can clearly, give us a picture of what we have lost within these few weeks of these heavy rains in Kasese, the flooding, what has it led to, and then what are, the circumstances under which Kasese finds itself in?
My brother, Kasese is actually registered, I should really say, a great loss, because if you look at the lives that we lost, we might have really lost MPs, we might have, lost the Joels and other, important people in the community. That's really one. But also the structures of these people that have actually been buried. If you are to quantify them in terms of in monetary terms, they are huge sums of money. But the current situation is that even the intended investors, to me, I believe, if they continue seeing this happening, because I'm very sure government is in the process of securing another investor to come and work on Kilembe copper mines. But if those who are really having hopes of coming to bid for this project, if they continue seeing what is currently happening, I think they can really take a step back and say, no, let's really first wait and see what will happen. So in that process, Kasese, Uganda will be losing a lot of lots of opportunities. Thirdly, currently we have more than 4,000 people encamped at temporary internal camps. Now, these people are being hosted at a number of primary schools. Like yesterday, I was able to travel.
Joel, a quick one. Do we have to wait for the investors to work on some of the things, in your view?
Yes, because I think we need to do what we call the hydrological study to ascertain what could be the core cause of these continuous occurrences of rivers flooding. So I think if we can have a potential company, if we can have a potential investor who can also help government to conduct a hydrological study of what makes these rivers behave in this way, it can really have a solution, so that this person injects his money when he is rest assured that the money will not put to waste. So I think, to me, I believe that if there is a potential investor, he should be able to help government to ensure that we first work on some of the issues that can even force his or her business to collapse if such instances are not really considered. Now, like I was telling you about the camps. Currently, we have a number of camps, and they are hosting around more than 5,000 people. These are internally displaced people. Now, these people are being hosted at primary schools and churches. And the situation is now, these people are worried because a day after Sunday, students are going back to schools. So where are they going to be hosted? So the district disaster committee management, chaired by the COW, is now forging modalities of how they can secure safer places where these people can be relocated, so that the pupils, the students whose classrooms are being used as bedrooms for people are safe. So that's also a dilemma, because I'm very sure if the office of the Prime Minister does not really come in to help Kasese, this local government, it will be hard for us here to have a quick solution to have these people relocated to other places, so that the learners can continue with their normal studies.
All right. Thank you very much,
Right.
Joel, for the update that you've been able to give to us. And we shall surely get back to you some other day to just give us the situation in Kasese again. But for now, thank you very much and have yourself a good day.
You're welcome, my brother.
All right. That is Kaguta Joel, who has been joining us from Kasese, correspondent from there, and he has been giving us details about what is happening in Kasese. But when we do return after the break, we shall be talking to Honorable Kabyanga Godfrey Baluku to try to understand what is happening in Kasese and the efforts that the government is putting in place to make sure that we do not lose more people, and of course to work on the property that is being destroyed at the end of it all. So stick around, we have more conversations coming up.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why for a loan when you Momo? We're so tingy. Use the Momo app or dial *165# quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, Kingdoms of the Moon Renzori segment. Who are the people occupying the foothills of the fabled mountains of the moon? What strings them together?
One way of identifying ourselves would be the Renzori Mountain,
where the god happy dwells. In Uganda, we are called Bakonjo, Bakonzo, Baira. In Congo, we are called Banande.
Ababuisa barukiro bwingi n'abamba barukiro bwingi bali mu Congo.
The Basongora community is a very old community here, Western Uganda and Eastern Congo.
So both Kasese, Toro were part of Nyoro Kitara Kingdom.
We are similar people.
We are one. Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering Saturday 25th May 2024 from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Ndere Center in Ntinda.
To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
PDM, changing lives.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
All right, now we'll be back from the break. We now turn our eyes to the State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Honorable Kabyanga Godfrey Baluku, who also comes from the Kasese area. So we need to fully understand from the government's perspective what is really happening and the situation in Kasese, the plans by the government to see and give a ray of hope for the people in Kasese that have been affected highly by these floods and landslides within the region. A very good morning, Honorable. You're live on Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, viewers and listeners of UBC, and good morning all people from Kasese. I sympathize with those families which have been affected by floods this month. We started with landslides and mudslides, which killed around 11 people in the Kasese region and 4 people in the Runyangavu region, but all of them mountain areas. I sympathize with the families and condolences to them.
Okay. Now, looking at the situation from your office, what is the status of what is happening in Kasese district from what you've been able to receive so far?
So far, every May for the last 10 years, we have been experiencing devastating situations, mainly from floods. But now there is now a new phenomena of landslides and mudslides. And this year, it somehow dominated because at the beginning of the month, we had the landslides in 2 constituencies, Usongora North and Bukonzo East, but also in the mountains of Bunyangau, and 14 people so far have died. But in the past years, we didn't have much of landslides and mudslides, but now this was the biggest devastating phenomena. And yesterday, all the 5 rivers of Kasese, the big rivers, all of them flooded. That is Ruimi, Muvuku, Nyamugasane, Ruviriha, and Nyamwamba. But the 3 are the ones which really made devastating effects, Nyamwamba, Muvuku, and Nyamugasane. For Muvuku flooded and destroyed a lot of property and the infrastructure in the lower areas of Kasese, which is Karusandara, which is its floodplain. And then Nyamwamba devastated the town, Kasese town itself, areas of Karuti, Ward, and Kanyangea, Kamulikwizi, all those areas were badly affected. So this is something which now has been continuing for 10 years, and it is a natural disaster. It's not really, it's more or less a natural disaster, and I sympathize with the people who have been affected. Yeah.
And Honorable, when you look at the assessment that has been done so far by the district authorities, what has been their finding for the past few weeks of the current situation in Kasese?
The findings are, first of all, people have been displaced. There are many people who have been displaced. Some property has been destroyed, mainly houses. And then, obviously, infrastructure has been also destroyed, the roads and bridges. In Karusandara area, I understand most of the bridges on Muvuku have been destroyed. In the Charumba area, Nyamugasane, Charumba Trading Center, there are a lot of property destroyed. But Ualake, the main bridge on Nyamugasane was not taken by the river. At least it is still standing, but it needs desilting. If we don't desilt it, probably the culverts can give way. So really, there is a lot of devastation in terms of destroyed, and then the infrastructure, mainly public infrastructure, roads, bridges, and other infrastructure.
Okay. And then we also understand that we have communities that have invaded the valleys, and with which these valleys is where the water is supposed to pass. So how are we going to address this?
Yeah, obviously, because of pressure on land, people have invaded the valley. That's true. But for instance, in Nyamwamba, I can talk about Nyamwamba because I worked with Graham there, and I served as a mayor of Kasese municipality. In Nyamwamba, in the early stages of Grembe Mines Limited, when you had its glory, when it was still functioning, the river was diverted, and the bangers were built by concrete and gabion, and they overstayed. They withstand the pressure of the river for 50 years. But I think they outlived their lifespan. So in 2014 they gave way, which implies now the river is trying to go back to its original channel, and it has caused a lot of devastation. Now, if you are very familiar with Kasese, where the bridge is, where Nyamwamba crosses Kasese Kabarore Road, that's not the original channel of the river. If you are very familiar with Kasese, the original channel, there is a bridge at the roundabout, near the roundabout, where Nyakatonze Cooperative Union is, generally is. That is the original channel of the river. And if you look at what happened yesterday, the river somehow came back to that bridge. It was really looking for its former route. So, and just because now those bangers are no longer there to protect it from meandering, they have all been swept. Though Minister of Water and Environment recently received some money, and they replaced some of those bangers in the upper stream, mainly in the Bulendia area. But downstream, it's not yet done. So now when the river reaches the town down, it just meanders in the population looking for its original thing.
Okay.
For Muvuku, it is entirely because of farming. People have encroached on the valley, and it is now no valley at all. All the vegetation that probably would be assisting people assisting to reduce on the speed of the river, it's already gone. So cultivated.
Well, Honorable, I do have a comment coming in from a viewer from Kasese, and this was actually going to also be my question. He does ask, what plans does the government have in order to settle the affected people, or has the government identified some places to shift the people who have been camping at schools, because we do know these schools are reopening on Monday?
Now, I think those ones who are camping at schools, when the schools open, they will have to go. Because there is no way out. But I think these are phenomena which have been happening. The river is going to subsidize, but the displacement is not really too much. Because now, the first displacement was so devastating in 2016, 17, and people were totally displaced from their homes. They camped in Mhocha, and the government has already earmarked land, they have bought land. I think remaining with a few procedures, and then they go and allocate them portions of land where to resettle. But what is happening now, as soon as the river subsides, the people will go back to their homes, because where they have been displaced is not as dangerous as where the first group of people were displaced.
Honorable, you've underscored the fact that since 2013 we've been having this flooding, though this time around we've had mudslides coming into the picture. Now that is 11 years down the road of this current situation in Kasese. Now global conversations rotating around climate change have been making huge waves across media platforms, and different governments are trying to finance how to address climate change. Now, looking at this situation in Kasese, it does seem like it's something that is not only going to stay today, but there are chances that it may happen again next year. Now, what are the plans by the government moving forward and the leaders in Kasese in order to prepare for such disasters?
First of all, now you can see that the floods are not, they have not, we have not had loss of life out of floods for the last 2 years. Because the government has put in place an early warning system.
But we have some numbers that have been recorded dead currently, about 8.
Yeah, the deaths were from the landslide and mudslide.
Okay.
But not from flood. We have to separate the two.
Okay.
Because now the flood, at least there is now an early warning system. And as soon as the monitor is in Rwenzori Mountain National Park. As soon as the waters start increasing, some of us leaders start getting warning that in the mountains the waters are increasing, and then we send messages on radio for people who are staying near the rivers to evacuate, or those ones who are staying in the routes, which we already know now, dangerous routes to evacuate. So that's one mitigation. But also, just as I told you, we have tried to now, Ministry of Water, which is government of Uganda, is trying now to reduce the bunkers, for instance, on River Nyamam. And in that same project, we have tried now to convince the people to leave the river valleys, at least go 100, the mandatory 120 meters from the river, and they have been given seedlings of bamboo to plant around the valleys of Mubuku and Nyamwamba. But also, there is now, the president has insisted that people living at least at a gradient of 30 degrees should try to leave those places because they are very dangerous. Unfortunately, the whole of Kasese, mainly the mountain part of Kasese, the whole of the mountain part of Kasese is above 30 degrees. So that one is a very, very complicated situation. But now, what is being done in Elgon, evacuating people from those steep slopes of Elgon and giving them land elsewhere, I think that's what we are appealing for, to also benefit Kasese, so that people can live in very steep areas of the Rwenzori Mountains and relocate somewhere else. It may not necessarily be in Kasese, because the Kasese land is a big problem, probably even in other districts. So that one, we are still working with as government to see if it succeeds in the Elgon, which is really succeeding. We want the same program to now be considered for Kasese. I think, and then when we leave those steep slopes, probably we should plant trees so that we control all these runoffs. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we shall continue having that problem. And just as it has been said before, these are climate change issues, because the glacier is receding and at a very high rate. And when the recede, it leaves bare rocks, and because of withering and other natural forces, those rocks start breaking. So when the river floods, it comes with huge stones, and it is those huge stones which destroy infrastructure, destroy lives, destroy property. So that's the scenario. That's how I can look at it.
Okay. And lastly, Honorable, what would be your message to the people of Kasese in these trying times? And I want to believe it will be a message of encouragement with the fact that the government is working on their issues.
I think for my people in Kasese, one, we should know that we are created by God on that mountain. It's a very beautiful mountain. It's very fertile, very good to live in, but it is also having its own problems. It can be disastrous. And climate change is there. And some of these effects we are suffering are because of human interference with nature. So my appeal to the people of Kasese is, first of all, we should go into conserving the environment so that we protect that snow. Because the problem is that it originates from that mountain. For instance, there are no heavy rain, but these rivers are just flooding when even there are no rain, which implies there must be a problem up there in the mountain. So let us first of all conserve the environment. Let us plant more trees. Let us not cut whatever is there indiscriminatively. And then we should also evacuate from the very dangerous areas ourselves, because it is our lives. We should not just wait for government. Okay. And the leadership, the district leadership, including ourselves, let us get people off the valley, and then we also protect them. We plant bamboo, just as well agreed as a district that we should plant bamboo, first of all for environment conservation and also for commercial purposes, because we have people who are now buying bamboo. So I think now should be a deliberate effort by everybody to see how we can conserve the environment and leave those dangerous places, protect our own selves. We shouldn't wait for government to push us or to compensate us. We should take care of ourselves and be cautious that we can lose lives if we don't take heed of what is taking place.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable, for your time this morning, and we wish you all the best for the day.
Oh.
All right, there you have it, Honorable Kabyanga Godfrey Baluku, who is the current State Minister for ICT and National Guidance. He was former Mayor of Kasese Municipality and has been giving us a view from the government in regards to the current situation in Kasese as the flooding does continue. But, of course, the efforts are there by the government. And, of course, more sensitization greatly needed to ensure that we do not lose more people as property is being lost as well. Now, I will end the agenda this morning with a comment coming in from Maureen Twikirize. She says she represents the Youth at Climate Impact Initiative Uganda. People need to be educated about climate change before these calamities hit. And from the background of the Kampala Declaration on Migration and Climate Change, we are organizing dialogue on contextualizing the link between the environment. So he says that, she says that we call upon all government agencies and NGOs to collaborate and be part of such a dialogue, because it is going to give information regarding climate change and in one or the other also prepare the people of Kasese better. Well, that is it for our agenda this morning. Coming up is Ruben Pima with the latest from the world of sports. Stick around.